Hello, fellow baggers, and welcome back to Bluebaggers Edge. And we are here to preview another round against Port Adelaide. And as you can probably tell, I am absolutely gassed. Not just due to the fact that we've just celebrated the arrival of our newborn in recent weeks, but it is more so just fatigue of following this side. Really, it's incredible. It's at that point of the season where it's become a massive grind because the season's virtually over. We all know what's happened and what's going to happen more than likely, and the motivation to continue is awfully hard. But we are fellow baggers. We support the club through thick and thin, so we continue. We trudge through the mud, and hopefully we come out the other side post-season with a little bit of a wash down, let's call it, a little bit of an analogy there, and wash down all of the dirty aspects of the club, coaching, wider coaching staff, players that aren't pulling their weight, so on and so forth. But we are here, of course, to preview this round 16 clash with Port Adelaide. And let's start. Let's get into it, because outside of what's already been discussed, let's just go through. It's obviously, every match, I think from here on out, it's a do or die battle. We've got 9 matches remaining, and I think we virtually have to win 7 of our last 9 to at least guarantee a finals berth. But really, do we want to make the finals? We all saw what happened last season when we sort of limped into finals, and yeah, it wasn't the prettiest sight against Brisbane in the elimination final. And it seems like we're in that same sort of space, both mentally, preparation-wise, and everything else. Like, injuries are starting to mount as well, which, again, is not an excuse. And I hate it being used as an excuse as it was last season, because by and large, that's the reason why coaches weren't moved on when they probably should have been. I'm talking about the assistant coaches here, because they kind of use that as a little bit of leverage, a shield, if you want to call it that. But yeah, it's at that point of the season where there's little to look forward to, but there are a couple of things to look forward to in this game, because we do have a couple of debutants, which we will go through now in terms of the lineups. So we do have coming into the team for their debuts, Billy Wilson, the hard-running half-backer, and he's been on the list now, I think, for 3 seasons, might be, and was very, very close to making his debut on a few occasions. Named emergency, had some really nice bits of form last season as well. And yeah, I think he's been very unlucky. Probably should have been given a bit of a crack off the back of, back when Doherty was given time in the VFL. And we see now that Doherty's going back to halfback, which is good. And he's shown some okay form at various stages, which is good to see from the veteran that we know and love. But Billy Wilson, he's come in with a little bit of promise, and hopefully he can relish it. And hopefully, I'm talking on his behalf now, and a lot of the youngsters, because it is annoying me the way that they are being treated and played and everything else, but really just give him more than one game. I hate to see players that come in, get their debut, and then get dropped the very next week. Yes, it gives the youngsters a taste of senior footy, but in terms of continuity, how can you expect a player to come out and dominate in their first game? If they do, fantastic. If they don't, give them a couple of weeks. Just, you can't really get a taste to settle into, the pace of senior footy and everything else and the rigours and what's required. So let's just hope that both he and the fellow debutant in Flynn Young, who was our mid-season rookie draftee, I'm really excited for this bloke. I've always been excited to see Billy Wilson at senior level, but I think this bloke, Flynn Young, like Flynn, he will be able to offer something that really we are lacking in terms of kicking inside 50. If you haven't seen it, check out his highlights, because he is a great user of the footy. And yeah, he is someone that I think can really offer what we are lacking with those foot skills. So best of luck to both of those boys, and I'm looking forward to seeing them both run out tonight, more so than anything else. In terms of the other ins and outs, Jordan Boyd returns, which kind of came from nowhere, and it's been in the making. I think very strange the fact that, I spoke of Billy Wilson not getting a crack, but when Doherty was given, his orders to go back to the VFL and regain some confidence and form. I thought Jordan Boyd would have come in off the back of that. I think he did for a game there and then was dropped. And it just, again, I just don't know what we're doing structurally and rewarding guys with half-decent form. Like, he has actually been okay, Jordan Boyd. So, yeah, he comes in. Hopefully he can take the opportunity with both hands and stick around the team, because we talk about foot skills, and that's what we've been lacking across the entirety of the season, and that's what he brings to the table. We all know he's one of the cleanest users of the footy, and it's just very strange why he hasn't been brought into the team sooner than what he has. But anyway, we shake our heads, scratch our heads, everything else. Lewis Young returns as well. Good to see. I think he's a really good role player, Lewis Young, underrated, and I know he's much maligned. He isn't probably the most talented, we'll say that, but he gives 100% and does actually, and has, when he's been switched forward, shown a fair bit. So I am glad to see him back. And Billy Wilson and Fling Young obviously in as well. In terms of the outs, Corey Durden makes way. And I know he didn't have the best game on the weekend, but likewise, Jesse Motlop, I hate bringing it up, but it's really hard not to when you're talking about small forwards. And Corey Durden's been in and out of the team on various occasions now, and I don't know why Jesse Motlop survives, outside of the fact that I think Michael Voss has got an absolute hard-on for the fact that he tackles. Whoop-de-doo. That doesn't kick goals. That doesn't, apply scoreboard pressure and all that sort of stuff. So it is what it is, really, at this point. I'm just over it. But Mark Pitnet, he is out. He makes way. And I thought you probably could have kept him in, but, I mean, we've only got, we've got Dante Vicentini and Jordan Sweet. They've got two ruckmen in this game, Port. And I thought Pitnet was okay against Cherry. He kind of gives us a little bit of, bigger bodied opponents, I think, that, Jordan Sweet probably is one of those. Dante Vicentini, not so much, probably more flighty, much like a TDK, but he makes way. And I assume, in terms of structure, Lewis Young, a tall for a tall, comes in for Pitnet and, offers more up forward, obviously. So I don't mind that in that respect there. Jackson Binns, I spoke about it in the review. Live stream the other night if you were on that, and feel free to jump on as well. And just a bit of a housekeeping, feel free to hit the notification bell on this channel as well if you want to jump into the live streams, because we do a little bit of an open mic, random stages now. If you want to jump on, have a little bit of a yarn, even just discussions through the live chat, which we had quite a few people in that, which was good to see. So hit the notification bell and you will get a notification when we go live with a live stream and those open mic sessions. But Jackson Binns, it was it's not a surprise here, because of the fact that, there was the vision there of him being absolutely baked by Vossi, and I wasn't a massive fan of that. I know he's a youngster, he's developing, but everyone else kind of got off scot-free, senior players and whatnot as well. And to pick out a youngster who's developing and who will be prone to making mistakes, I think is low-hanging fruit. So to see him out of the team, no real surprise, I think, and Voss wants to make a statement. But if you're going to make statements, again, we've said in the past, drop senior players like he did with Sam Doherty, and to great effect. But anyway, Matty Carroll goes out as well, and he can probably find himself a little bit unlucky. But if we want to give other youngsters a bit of a go, in those debutants there, Billy Wilson probably makes a little bit of sense there. Those are the ins and outs for us. In terms of Port Adelaide, Aliir comes back in, a big in for them. Logan Evans, Hugh Jackson, and Travis Boak. And out goes Jackson Mead, Finn Layson, Ryan Burton, and Christian Moraes. So looking at both teams, I mean, the midfield battle is probably where it's going to be won. Rosie, Butters. Rosie's playing off a little bit of half-back as well, so you can probably discount him. He's probably getting like 50% CBAs, but Zach Butters, as we all know, he's an absolute superstar and someone we really need to put the clamps on. I expect Ching Cotter to go to him and have a run with role. I think he has played that role in the past couple of games to, decent effect. And yeah, probably one of those things that we need to identify as an area. If we want to try and win the clearances, win the contested ball, that's where we really need to come out on top. Outside of that, I mean, looking at the forward structure, Charlie Curnow, he is in not the best form, as we know. Mitch McGovern, to his credit, kicked 4 goals last week and looked really good. Another option now, another third tall answer to that position. that we kind of earmarked for Kemp to play. With Kemp being out, Gov has been pushed into that position and probably should have been in that position much earlier. I spoke about it in the early part of the season as an option, even last year as well. I don't know why we haven't played McGovern up forward. He's a natural forward. We traded for him with a forward role earmarked for him. So before we had to sort of switch him to being a defender because that was a need more than anything. So again, coaching oversights, short-sightedness, and I mean, it's taken a fair while, but hey, we got there in the end. Lockie Fogarty, Chincotta won't be playing in the forward line, I don't think, unless there's, various stages there where he's playing a lockdown role on I can't think of anyone in Port's defence that he could Bergman, but does Bergman run through the middle? Maybe. He's the other sort of, I guess, damaging player off halfback, especially for them. Outside of that, yeah, it's a little bit of a interesting one. Just hopefully Flynn Young could come in and play a little bit of role. That actually might put the pressure on Jesse Motlop. I know he's not a traditional small forward, Flynn Young, but he might be someone that could be an answer to, playing that high half forward role and pushing up the ground and then running back and really utilising his nice kicking inside forward 50. So really looking forward to that. Let's have a quick look at Willow ratings before we wrap things up, because as we always do, we want to go through and identify areas of the game from the opposition side that we can exploit. Now, the big part of the game that we can exploit here, which normally would fill me with confidence, because, we kind of pride ourselves on being that stoppage team, that contested team. But in recent games, we've been found out for it, and we just haven't been performing in the midfield at all. But I am referencing here that Port Adelaide, in terms of what areas of the ground or score sources they concede to opposition teams, as you can see here, via stoppages, Port Adelaide actually concede the most in the competition across the entirety of 2025. Actually more than Richmond and more than North Melbourne. And that's an area of the ground where traditionally we've been quite effective in the past. In recent times, not so much. In terms of score averages, let's just have a quick look and see if it's not too bad for us. Yeah, we've slipped away. We were kind of top three. Now we're, 3, 6, 7, 8 in line in terms of the least effective teams via stoppages. So we've slipped all the way down, and it's frustrating to see, because if that's the bread and butter, if that's the one wood that Michael Voss is building his game plan off, mate, it's not working. It is certainly not working. I know players are out of form, doesn't help, but you've got to try other things. If players aren't in form, you can't just hope that they're going to turn things around off the back of nothing. I mean, there's obviously confidence that feeds into that, and with players' confidence down, there's no surprise that our stoppage game has really eroded over the course of the season. I just want to have a look in the past 5 games in terms of our stoppage game, and where we actually stand. So it's very similar, 3, 6, 7, 8th worst in the competition. And we'll just have a look for opposition averages for Port Adelaide again in recent games, if they have kind of turned things around in conceding scores via stoppage. No, they haven't. So they concede the second most behind the Giants, which is interesting there. So that's in the past 5 games. So it's a recent chink in the armour for Port Adelaide that we really have to try and capitalise on. But is it going to happen? Probably not. Motivation's down, confidence is down, everything's shot really. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how things turn out. If we don't win things in the stoppage, if we don't win things in the clearance, we've been beaten in the clearance by West Coast, we've been beaten in the clearance by North Melbourne. We're more than likely going to be beaten in the clearances by Port Adelaide. If we can't stop Butters, Rosie goes through there in patches, Horn Francis as well, Willem Drew, Bergman if he pushes through the middle as well. It's just, doesn't fill me with confidence really. You asked me at the start of the season, I would have said yep, but in its current state, no. So that's virtually it. The ins and outs, what can we hope for here? We just hope for a win, really. We really do hope for a win. We need a circuit breaker. And just on this here, you'll see there that third video there. of Voss's presser. I won't play it because it will flag on YouTube in terms of copyright from what I remember. But have a look at it if you get a chance. There was some, decent lines of questioning from journos, and they were kind of, honest questions about Michael Voss and the way that he was playing, his game plan, which is built upon contested style, everything else. And he kind of cracked the shits and ended up having a bit of a crack at Mitch Cleary, which I think isn't, normally I don't mind that, but it's just a coach under pressure, and it was a reasonable question. And, he was kind of defensive. And it just goes to show, as I've been speaking about with Michael Voss and his game plan, the way that he approaches things in terms of planning, preparation, lack of plan Bs, all that sort of stuff. Like, mate, if you're going to be stubborn about your game plan and it's not working, be prepared to be critiqued for it, and rightfully so. Like, mate, you can't become overly defensive. Defensive about specific plays that are being attacked, all that sort of stuff, yes. But I understand you're a bloke under pressure, but just really, it just wasn't a good look, and really it annoyed me. It did annoy me because it's like protecting his spot as senior coach, protecting his game plan, and protecting what isn't working, really. If you want to be honest with things, just literally say it as it is in terms of it's not working. There are deficiencies we need to work on. Leave it at that. Like, don't just be a smart ass about things and try and bite back at reasonable questions. But anyway, that's by the by. I'm losing a bit of patience here. But let us go through just ever so quickly before we wrap things up how we've been going against Port Adelaide in recent games. So the third least recent encounter, we played Port on our home deck. 18-14, 122 to Port 10-12, 72. We won by 50 points in 2023. 2024, we played them on the home deck, and we ended up winning by 36 points. So we had some decent, games against them in recent times. 10-11, 71 to Carlton, 16-11, 107. Both times eclipsing a score of 100. In our most recent game in 2024, we ended up losing on our home deck at 9-11, 65 to Port Adelaide, 11-13, 79, and again struggled to score above 100. In recent games outside of that, how both teams are going, we've won 2 of our last 5, and likewise Port Adelaide as well. So in terms of form, both teams are in a little bit of a rut. You would argue that Carlton's probably in a worse rut in terms of recent losses to the caliber of teams that we've played, the opposition, compared to Port Adelaide. But, level pegging, 6 wins, 8 losses. It's just, meh. What can you say, really? The one thing I want to identify there is look across all these games here. And the other thing with Voss in his game plan is he's trying to build things off defense, slow methodical play, kicking sideways, kicking backwards. I think we're ranked well inside the top 3 in terms of teams in the competition that kick sideways, kick backwards. It's just shit house. And speaking to the game plan, it is so ordinary. You need to switch things up. It's not working. And really you're putting pressure on the players more than anything. When you kick back, you're conceding territory. The opposition pushes up, creates more pressure. And with that pressure comes turnovers. So there's the issues there. And the fact we're not kicking enough of a score, like 62 against Sydney, 82 against the Giants, 78 against the Dons, 86 against West Coast, which is putrid against such a low-quality opposition. And again, 73 against North Melbourne, who we actually lost to. So things aren't changing. Things won't change. And the thing that will change is the end of the season, hopefully, because I am well and truly over what I'm seeing at the moment. But we tune in nonetheless. We support the boys. And we hope the 2 debutants come out with a half-decent performance for their sake anyway, and would put the smile on our face. It's something for us to smile about, I think. But that's it, ladies and gents. Thank you as always for tuning in. Really do appreciate your company and support. And speaking of support, if you do enjoy our videos, our content, feel free to give us a like on this video. Give us a subscribe. Really do appreciate it, because what it does is it tells YouTube, hey, we'll put this channel in the algorithm a little bit more, give it some more exposure. And with that exposure comes more eyes from fellow Bluebaggers to check out this channel. But that's it, ladies and gents. Thank you as always for tuning in. And we'll catch you on the other side to do a review of this game. We'll see you then. Go Baggers.
Have you ever